Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It's today we have as part of the entrepreneurship talk from Mr. Hemant Srivastava. So, welcome to this seventh lecture as part of the entrepreneurship talk series we are hosting on behalf of entrepreneurship and management department at IIT Hyderabad. Um, just to give a brief introduction on Mr. Hemant Srivastava, he's the founder and CEO of SocioCharge, which is a social media initiative, which is a purpose-driven initiative focused towards social aspects of the entrepreneurship. And as far as Mr. Hemant Srivastava, he is a purpose-driven individual who is passionate to help align market and social forces to accelerate the positive change. He has more than 14 plus years of experience in involved in different startups before he initiated the social charge venture. So I'm handing over the stage to Mr. Hemant to brief us about uh, the different aspects of minimum viable product, which his focus is towards in today's talk, and born out of his experiences from a social charge company. So he's also an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur and Purdue University. So with this brief introduction and humble information about Mr. Hemant, I hand over the stage to Hemant. Mr. Hemant, the floor is yours to
Yeah.
deliver the talk. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Lohit, and thank you, Nakul, for this kind of opportunity to interact for a brief time only. But yeah, hopefully, with my some of the mistakes, maybe some of the things that I did good or well, may be helpful for the guys who are here, probably listening this session. So I'll start with my brief, say, background post IIT. So that is basically will connect you how I landed up in actually starting the social charge. So it's right from the say IITs. I also kind of like other IIT guys who thinking what should be the best option to make actually larger scale change where problems that we see in the different areas of our lives. Right? So first choice typically goes for IITs. Let's go for civil services. So I basically chose a job for a year something, gotten some money, and invested that thing to prepare for myself for civil services. Somehow it didn't turn up with some marks finally. So again, I came back on the blank slate. Now what? What can be done? Which we are thinking. That was one tool that we missed. So that was the first mistake basically I did in terms of the some way of kind of overconfidence or some way missing out the broader picture from the outer perspective that things are not that tough. Even the IAS also. Now we see that it's pretty easy to even to crack. So even young guys pretty much miss that part. So those who are listening, probably this could be helpful. That's introspect first, look from the outer perspective and get on, then whatever you want to do. So after that blank slate, basically, so I had choice then what to do. Means either start your own, look for take some job to kind of float yourself, something like this. So I didn't have any idea for a year what to do. So I just took some job that kind of just with my time cross, so I understand what to do now. Do next. So first startup happened in 2006. That was in social media itself, and before the advent of the Facebook. Uh, you, I think you guys may remember this that Orkut was pretty much popular in those days. So we created open social applications, open social APIs framework, and fortunately it did pretty well for next 2 3 years. And our applications were kind of ranking high, number one for quite some time in not many social media platforms like MySpace, Hypes, Hi-Fi. I am not sure current generation know about them, but yes, this was the scenario. But somehow things were missing. So I'll connect this purpose part. Somehow things were missing. Things were going well, very well, but I was not very much satisfied. What exactly I'm doing, why I'm doing, and what would actually result in. So that time again the break period came. So I had to I went for MBA, means the Purdue part, and just kind of upgraded myself. Came back India and took up another role to make myself debt free, because the higher education takes a lot of money. So in next 4 years basically I worked as an entrepreneur. So not entrepreneur, it's entrepreneur, right? In an organization I got an opportunity to start things from scratch. So in 3 years time, I was fortunate enough to build this up, say from 0 to 100 crore business for a media company in Delhi itself. Again, things again pinched back. What am I doing? So is it the right thing, or fitting well with my personality or maybe ambitions or whatever I wanted to do? Somehow I could see or imagine the social charge model in 2015 or 16, that how I would like to connect various dots, maybe individual organizations, and somehow make an engine that accelerate the socio-economic development that we, uh, most of us kind of aspire to make. Uh, but yeah, things were fuzzy, not very clear. But finally, I took a call and left my corporate job in 2016 and started my own. Whatever I earned, I invested. So, second mistake. So I left it in some fuzzy picture. Uh, 3 months kind of did MVP kind of structure. Uh, some valuable product which we put up in the market, and saw that completely failed. Means no much reaction or maybe conviction also down the line. Uh, so finally, that was a good decision which I took. In 3 or 4 months, I took a hard decision that again I am not clear how I want to shape it up. I'm clear what I want to do, but how part was majorly missing. So in that part at that point of time, I had multiple ideas. Another idea was on the retail part of it, offline retail. So that was another startup again. For that particular startup, I basically worked for 2 years, right from again scratch and building something. And coincidentally or fortunately, it worked well. Though it was not my interest area, but finally it worked well. It was product was floated in the market, and eventually in 2020 it was sold. So that is the second startup effectively that I did. But by the time of the 2 years, I continuously spend my time entirely to introspect how part means how I can make a larger network scale benefit or maybe impact to a larger level. Now the social charge actually born at that point of time. So now I'll give a brief the foundation of social charge. So, uh, I'm not sure if you guys are aware that Japanese philosophy of ikigai. So basically, if you align your passion, maybe skill, and what world needs in a certain segment, certain aspect, and you get your center core out of it, and then you do whatever you do, that actually is the best form of thing that you can imagine for yourself. So I created a network for this only. This is the core aspect of social charge, where individual, their core purpose, organization, their core purpose, and they are connected in a network on very synergistic fashion, and how their synergy or interaction or engagement can accelerate the socio-economic change in a business sense, of course, but a sustainable mode and for larger benefit. Now I'll come to the individual aspect of it. So, like an individual, we are basically either consumer, right? Most of the time, mostly we are consumer, right? Somehow, few are creators, like innovators or entrepreneurs who create something, and and that can be a different role also. Somebody actually executing, somebody supporting, like mentors, expert, or maybe investors, like this, and different environment. So this is the way individualist puts up. Similarly, in organization, right? So take a big company or maybe startup or maybe mid-level company. They are, of course, building some product or services to solve some problem of their potential customer or existing customer. But beyond that, if you look at it, the broader perspective, any entity that exists is actually making a difference, maybe in positive direction or negative direction, but primarily our intent is always on the positive direction. So that direction for organization and that direction for the individual, how we can connect with the network. So that was the basically foundation for the social charge. Let me explain it in different way. Uh, like campuses, right? Say for the students, right? Uh, so we maybe 40,000 of campuses across India, higher education institute, which I am talking about. If that energy means young youth energy is actually engaged in solving meaningful business social problems in a network structure, can we amplify this? These are the questions, right? Can we amplify this? Can we use this, tap this energy for all the benefits, all the parties benefit, and actually channelize in the right direction? So that was the one question that we asked in our model. Second aspect, in terms of the say similarly organization, so they are anyway working with the employees or their suppliers and providing product and service in certain dimension, certain fashion. Can we use their resources or their structure to connect this particular energy and actually solve the problem in a structured fashion? That could be a possibility, right? So that question again we asked. Then we looked at the environment. Say right now we have say Facebook, right? If you look at the Facebook is a social network, family, friends kind of network connect. So where people kind of interact and they have pretty much straightforward ad revenue based model. Look at the from the LinkedIn perspective. LinkedIn is more of say professional related aspect. So people connect on LinkedIn or for their professional connect or maybe upgradation or maybe jobs, something related to work that they actually do in the professional setting. But these two platforms do not have that the core aspect that we are talking about as an individual, so as an individual who you are exactly. How your maybe profession is an offshoot, or maybe your education is also an offshoot, but as an individual who you are. So that core purpose. Similarly for organization, so they do certain product and services, but who they are, what difference they are actually making, what actually they're changing. So that is again a core purpose for organization. So this social charge is a network to connect these entities on their core aspects and bring their synergistic action in a fashion so that we can actually shape this as an engine that is self-sustaining and actually making the larger difference in our society. So this is how we shaped it up. Now, theoretically, it makes lots of sense that okay, we are channelizing energy in right direction and maybe expecting some major impact or maybe positive impact in a sustained fashion. Everything is fine. How to actually execute? How to actually make it more tangible so that people understand? The first challenge which I faced when I started is to explain the idea. So is it something that is tangible? Is this the people would understand this? What is happening? What are we talking about? It is good to talk in maybe spiritual or in something that kind of way, but can we actually make it in a business? Maybe a social impact business, we can say. Is it a possibility? Can it be done? Hard questions. So 2019 went in like this. We talking so many corporate, so many campuses, so many students, so many youth, so many entrepreneurs to understand what they feel, what exactly we can tweak, or what exactly we can put in the market that actually fits in. So that comes in your idea or somewhere kind of MVP stage. So I'm just trying to relate with this kind of more of entrepreneurial fashion, but a bit the real use case. So we talked so many corporates, so many students, some mixed feelings started coming in, means what could be the right structure, fashion, or something like this. Again, things are long horizon. Things are very much long horizon if you look at this perspective. So if you are not getting very immediate gratification or outcome, it is very difficult to bring the your potential customers, like maybe campus, maybe students, maybe entrepreneur, maybe business investors, or maybe corporate, right? So it's always difficult. So we had to basically fractured down multiple ways, that what could be the ways where actually people can see that this is how a limited or one micro step that they take, and they get some return out of it in terms of the reward or in terms of the some satisfaction, and then we actually build an engine. So it quite challenging time. Then this COVID also happened. So that again a kind of hurdle in the process. But these are the good songs. These are somewhere carrying some good part in it somehow. So we more introspect ourselves what exactly should be done. It's a very challenging thing to create a network on something which is not very tangible, but something actually all of us aspire to, but we don't know exactly how part of it. So this is how we structured, we were thinking how to do it. So in 2019, basically later how we put up our product as a platform in the market, and started seeing the traction to some extent. Gradually it was slow, but now things were started moving in. Of course, in the COVID part, more tangible things didn't come in that way. But yeah, people started actually understanding when we saw the actually use case that how things are shaping it up. So I'll take as one simple use case, very simple use case, which probably would be easy to relating. So take in a corporate, right? So we talked multiple corporate and finally agreed with the ITC Foods that bring out your pressing or maybe somewhat secondary business problems which you yourselves are facing difficult to solve in your existing resources structure and something like this. So problem should not be like any business problem that any consultant or company can solve. The problem should be where we actually use this platform in a proper use case to tap the cloud intelligence in a structured fashion and bring out some result outcome of your problem in a meaningful way. And first target we put in the campuses, right? So including most of the IITs also, right? I'm not sure if IIT Hyderabad the guys were involved in the process. There are multiple use cases that we did, but there are many IIT guys, IM guys, or maybe other institute also came in between. So what we did, we curated that problem very specifically. So this is the actual real business problem, and these problems are to be solved in a structured fashion with in a proper team structure, maybe 3 4 5 guys. And we also invited faculty also. So tomorrow Nakul or Lohita finds that these are the problems which are relevant to their field, they can also be onboarded in the team. So nothing like the formal structure, but yes, some problem is there, and you are using corporate are using their basically sources to put up that problem before you, and you are basically coming as an intelligence or maybe cloud intelligence in a structured way to solve that, right? So somehow we are basically making some kind of engagement with the two entities. One young guy's youth talent, another is business problems, something like this. Then we bring in the corporate guys also. So the corporate guys from our side who are maybe somewhere expert in those particular field where problem is related, and let's work for 4 8 6 weeks, something like this, in a proper fashion. Maybe somewhere modulation or modulation is also involved. So what we saw that irrespective of the type of campuses or maybe from where the students are coming in, irrespective of the location or maybe grade that you guys think, if problem is explained very clearly, right? So half part is already done. Second is that the corporate have say limited team maybe for that particular department. They get extended cloud intelligence. So some people are working on those problems for extended number of hours, maybe say 100 hours or maybe 50 hours, and solving it from their perspective. So they get more different perspective also in solving it. And since it's modulated, basically you are not going left and right, you actually solving the problem. So that structure we shaped it up. And finally what we saw that we actually get real innovative ideas or innovative approach of solving the particular problems. Problem could be anywhere, any kind of way. Means it could be strategy related, or maybe operation related. It could be tech related, or product management related, or new product development related, marketing, branding, etc., etc. But it has to be curated well. It has to be structured well. It has to put up very clearly what is happening. So when we presented the solutions to ITC leadership teams, they actually jumped on the solutions. So this is what they probably were struggling to basically in their limited time and resources, and they tapped that cloud energy and solved something. Now, from the corporate side, multiple ways of looking at it. They get the some solution of their problem, one part. Second part, of course, branding marketing, I'm not touching. Second is basically the identification of the talent. Right now, typically the jobs or maybe internships work this way, that the corporate go to particular campuses, they take some tests and there's some interviews, and they freeze on the recruitment part. But the attrition is also a big problem for them. What if, again a question, what if we are able to build a structure where these multiple problems are being solved by so many youth across the campuses, and those youths are basically exposed in terms of the value that they're adding, and these identified potential youths are actually tapped for the hiring also, right? So that is a different structure altogether. Means just completely bypassing your resume or campus requirements and all, or aptitude tests, etc., etc. It's a very much long term structured way of identifying the talent. So talent could be maybe final jobs or maybe internship, etc., etc. But that again connects to the point that if a model that maybe is suitable for maybe a separate venture, through the problems that we put up. So corporates are ready, in fact, willing to put in the money as well. So that is again an offshoot to connect in the venture investment part of it. So that part is again connecting. So we tried multiple use cases to see how things are happening. So we tried simple problems, that is basically kind of presentation of a problem solution. So that worked. Then we tried a tech tool, that worked. Now we have a problems that is basically has potential to become a separate venture, and the corporates are actually willing. So what was missing initially is the somewhere in between structure wherein these corporates can connect or maybe leverage that potential that we have across the campuses to solve their problems, identify the talent, and actually build something new. So this is how the one use case that we did, and we found it finally working. So this is the way one aspect of things were covered. Second aspect of looking at the things is like all of us done some bachelors and the masters and even the PhDs, and in this process we actually do some academic projects, right? In final years or maybe before that, into PhD thesis also. What if we bring this particular opportunity and bring the right use cases or maybe problems which can be converted into multiple projects, and which many guys can take it up, and maybe some funding also provided from the corporates. So instead of say thesis or projects that go on shelf most of the time, they actually solve some real existing business problem, right? So again, you have the opportunity and engine to create something very meaningful, something of massive scale. So if you just imagine, say, if we take say 400 campuses and maybe 400 problems, and for a year maybe, and even out of 400, even say even 40s are solved to a great extent, then we have something big happening, right? So that is another engine that we thought of. So that is also in the pipeline. Third is basically the projects part. I'm sure means IITs have this opportunity already. So they take the industry projects, professors work with the students in the thesis, and some part happens. But take a multiplier effect. If we bringing this to a larger segment of the campuses across India, with the larger segment of the corporates, not on the big corporate, but the mid-level corporates also, and we bring in the very structure in it, how beautiful would it be, right? So this is the how, this is another structure that we have put it up in the in social charge. So in social charge, basically one aspect is looking at the things that how we can create, innovate through entrepreneurship or leadership to solve the problems, business or social problems. Though we have a specific focus on certain segment like agriculture, health, education, water, climate, and energy. But yes, problems could be related to this or maybe other than that also. So idea is how we use or leverage the potential resources from the businesses side, and how do we use the potential resources from the young energy side, youth side, or entrepreneurs side, club this in a structured fashion and bring out the meaningful difference. So this is how we put it up, and that worked pretty well. Now the second aspect in social charge is on how current business operations or business processes can involve their consumers in making the difference. So typically, people see that the CSR is happening or maybe sustainability initiatives are happening, and we come to know through various advertisement or some reports, etc., etc. So typically, the consumer engagement or consumer involvement in those activities is pretty much on the lesser side, right? Can we make a structure when consumer actually get to know, so they can actually choose the product services from the company they're coming in which are aligned to their values and aspirations, one part, or maybe they be active part of the process of making some positive difference in their society wherever they are living. It could be sustainability related initiatives, it could be innovation related initiative, it could be anything. But can we have a mechanism wherein actually consumers are also involved and consumer also have power at the end? Then if two products are coming from the two companies, similar product from the two companies, and if they have a choice that okay, this particular product is coming from this particular company A, and which is actually aligned to my values and aspirations, and I'm making a difference by choosing this product. So theoretically, things are happening across. Means you maybe even the World Climate Summit that happened, maybe various roundtable that's are happening. Purpose talk is also happening. So many talks are definitely happening, and conversations are happening. How can companies be more purpose oriented, purpose aligned, etc., etc. But the structure or maybe action oriented approach was still missing. What can be done? So this goes on very much on global perspective, that how we can bring in a platform wherein the various companies have mentioned their purpose and their actions are basically reflecting what they stand for. So innovation is also part of their purpose. So that is basically the product services part related aspect. But when you look at the socio or economic aspect of it or environmental aspect of it, then again another picture is connected with the consumer engagement, supplier engagement, or maybe employee engagement. So basically, company is nothing but a group of people who are working to something and solve something, right? So are we bringing the right people on the structure? So when I mentioned that the hiring part, basically the people who are actually aligned, people who are skillfully aligned, people who are passion based aligned. So those people are getting inducted. And how we are amplifying this, basically those people who are already passionate, aligned with the company's brand purpose, then they are basically performing better also. So this is how purpose can be actually a critical differentiator in the marketplace. So eventually, I call it, or we call it, kind of purpose economy. So like employees, like these other resources, material resources also, how we use them, sustainability, and amplifying the things in a greater or larger extent. So these are the broad model that we tried. Very difficult to basically explain to even the corporates and the campuses also. But yeah, theoretically they make very much sense. In practical, they got to be very much tangible. So we made a tangible aspect of it. So now what we did is, so this is what I'm saying. Basically, how we got to pivot in multiple point of time. How we got to basically make more understandable structure so that people can understand. So what we wanted to do was clear, still clear. How we wanted to do was actually evolving with the time. So that is how kind of any entrepreneur goes to this particular journey, where they put up something with some hypothesis, then they see the tweaking, so basically revise it, then put up in the again, then revise it, something like this. So we created a SaaS model for the companies wherein they can amplify their purpose through consumer engagement. That is a SaaS tool. We put up the structure where any company, right now open only in India, they can put up their specific business problem in a certain structured fashion that cloud energy in the various campuses or entrepreneurs can leverage to solve and win also some awards, etc. But actually an opportunity to solve the real business problems. We put up a structure where actually they tap in the consumer sentiments, while the consumer or customer interacting with the brand product and services, and different touch points. So we put up that structure and we created a separate model out of it completely. So that SaaS model is a part of social chat. Now for the campus side, what we did, see, typically, say higher ranking institutes, I should not say ranking, but basically some of the institute which are on the higher side in terms of their output, they already have this structure and built in where, I mean, students, if they are interested in, they can pursue what they are building in, and probably they get a lot of support from the faculty also, and they shape it up. But it is not the usual case with many institutes, right? So it's not very usual. So in many institutes just focus on how the students can get placed in some jobs. Even the quality of jobs don't matter much, and they get more internship, students get more internship, and they get campus is good admission. But as we mentioned and we started our conversation, like there's so much focus and emphasis is going on the entrepreneurial mindset, problem solving thinking, solving the realistic problems through the government side, through businesses side, and through campuses side also now. So somehow the various councils are being made, various structures are being more. This is also part of it where people are interacting on, say, some realistic entrepreneurial journey some way. So things are happening now. Can we put them in a structure that can actually be very much kind of network connected, wherein things are sustainably uh, connected with the various dots, and probably we can remove very much of duplicacy of the work that many campuses or maybe corporates are doing. So this is how we put up another structure for the campuses. So that part we put it up just like a campus entrepreneurship lab. So again, same issues. So whatever problems are coming in that are exposed to those guys, whatever projects are coming in that are exposed. If there are guys who are building on some idea which they want to pursue, so they have an opportunity to put it up that thing in a structured fashion. So other guys like investors or maybe various incubators or various expert or leaders are actually in the system. So their purpose connected with this startup idea, things are connected. So that is the algorithm we have put it up. So if some idea is coming, say in automation or something related to AI or something like this, so who are the people who can be connected, and basically we can synergize the action. So that is part also we solved it. So campus entrepreneurship lab, SaaS solution for the businesses, and these things connected in the network. This is how we structured the approach. Now, this for the use case of this, again, we did a few campuses in NCR region right now, and we saw the lots of potential is there. We saw lots of potential is there. So, irrespective of the type of campuses that we basically target initially, it doesn't matter much. What matters is out of say 100 students, if we see 5 or 10 students are actually coming forward, that is actually a major differentiator. So that is what we tried through the another model in social chart. And these two pieces we clubbed in together in a fashion of say mm, uh, social network, you can say. So that's why I compared this to initially when we started, just like LinkedIn, this is for professional aspect, Facebook is for maybe more social aspect. When you talk about the purpose, your central inner core of yourself or maybe corporate, maybe campuses, or maybe social organizations. So that core line, when connects in certain tangible aspects, and that brightens the overall perspective of making a difference. So that becomes the social charge. So this is how things shaped up. So so far we are doing good now, post pandemic now. uh, I think hundreds of organizations and maybe thousands of people, individual people, multiple projects and problem statements are system in placed in it. But typically, startups always face problems in terms of the team, in terms of resources. So that anyway has to go through. So we also went through that particular cycle at a certain point of time. But yes, if we are convinced that this is what we want to do and this is the way it should happen, then probably time takes shape in the way we want it, or we want. So this is how we, I think, put it up. For SaaS solution, we did our pilot with the fashion brand in Madame, in India itself, and we saw that the engagement also became very good in terms of the people who are actually engaging with the brand stores in their physical location. So that part also went very positive for brands to capture the offline to online data for the customers. And actually customers also become happy, but they're not investing anything extra, but because of the choice of the product or services or particular brand, their choice of buying is actually making a difference, and that cumulative difference they're seeing by being in the network. So that is a good part that we saw from the business side. And from the campus side, we saw that the young guys, maybe third year or maybe first year of maybe MBA, second year of MBA, they came up with solutions which are very difficult to solve by the even the separate companies who are dedicatedly working on it. So that is a beauty, that you tap the cloud intelligence to solve the business social problems, and cloud intelligence people who are involved in the cloud intelligence also get benefited through their structure in overall scenario. So this is, I think, from my side, which I wanted to kind of convey. One more thing which I would like to just streamline one or two lines, which probably helpful for the students entrepreneur. So in our 4 years of education, or maybe 3 years of education, maybe 2 years of education, we are anyway doing our academic part. We are anyway solving, anyway working on those academic schedules, uh, and getting the degrees and all. There are multiple ways where things can be more productive. So in that particular way, like in fact, when I did an IIT, BTech from IIT, we didn't have much of understanding how we can involve ourselves in, say, more of internship also, more of real projects also. But that part is not the scenario right now. Right now, many guys from the Brighton institutes also do multiples of real problems through different projects or different startups or different companies. So that adds on a lot value. Plus, they get the multiple people in terms of the team setting. So some tomorrow or down the line, if they want to start something, and the major challenge becomes to the team, so they have some bandwidth already to identify those teams of people. And third is, of course, it helps in the jobs and the internship that people do if we engage those kind of activities on regular basis and upgrade ourselves, besides or along with the academic aspect of it. So these particular steps also we designed in the campus entrepreneurship lab that we have put it up. So either you are maybe solving real problems, or you are actually building your own venture. It doesn't matter, but there are the points where things can be connected, and many duplicate things can be removed, and your speed can be maybe faster when you engage in this particular session. So this is all from my side. Probably, if any things which I should explain or maybe put it up forward, I would be happy to do that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hemant. It was a wonderful talk regarding your initiative of social charge. So, I would like to now invite students. If you have any questions, you can feel free to post it or ask. Raise your hand if you have any questions to Mr. Hemant. Yes, yes, Wakif Mohammed.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, Hemant sir, for this wonderful talk. It's a very interesting business model. So my question is actually twofold. The first fold is related to the revenue model. So what are the financial aspects of the revenue model? I'm quite curious as to who are the users who actually end up paying for this kind of services.
Yes, yes,
And the second question is related to the support from government. I think it is also something on the lines of Atal Innovation Mission, which also operates in a very similar fashion, as in they offer incubation spaces where different kind of experts come and sort of work on certain solutions.
mm,
So, have you also thought about collaborations with the government on this front?
yes.
Thanks.
So about your first part, so of course, if you have, means I also said if it has to be sustainable, it has to be a proper business model. No matter what you want, if it is not making business and it doesn't matter, then you should not do. So as for the business aspect of it, when I say there are SaaS tools, right? So when I said corporates can engage with their customers, corporate can put up their business problems or their projects, or maybe get the consumer sentiments. So there's a tool, right? That tool has a subscription model for the businesses, like ITC is using, or Madam has used, and many other brands also using. That they pay for that, right? So whatever the engagement or the output, the dashboard that you're getting is basically the paid model, right? So that is one part of it. Second aspect of it is more on no sec, the campuses side, right? So campuses invest some part of money in their innovation and entrepreneurship structure. So I'm not talking about the maybe only IITs or IIMs. I'm just talking about the overall perspective. So there's 40,000 kind of campuses across, say, geography. If we put up this particular structure where their cost is drastically reduced, and major focus happens on actually building something or solving something with people who are otherwise inaccessible. Say each campus cannot bring the expert from all the places, right? So they can have couples, right? Couple of people. But here, what we bring in the, like you said, collaboration. So there are already, I think, dozens of AICs and social charge impact like network. TBIs are there, technology business incubators, and investors are there. So a few VCs, individual investors, basis their aligned purpose, what exactly they want to invest in, what exactly domain they want to hit on, and what actually difference they want to create. So that way, what we did is it connected those things, connected those dots, so that the campuses or maybe students or maybe entrepreneurs do not have to do duplicate things and actually focus on actually what they're doing. So what we put up is the campus entrepreneurship lab structure. That is also paid, but very nominal way, because idea is to keep that sustainable and make the engine working. So major revenue comes from the businesses side. Campuses is just a sustainable side. So these two things are connected in a model, and that becomes my basically revenue structure. It is not a ad revenue based model, just like any other network that we have, maybe Facebook or LinkedIn. So that is how it gets departure from those particular structure. Uh, and accordingly we manage our cost, that how we can scale it up, also how can we can manage the existing platform also. So this is how we put it up. So government basically is already doing, what we found that yes, at the infrastructure level, that government is doing, we are not getting into that. What we are getting into that is the that infrastructure facilities are available, how we can leverage that in a network setting in the most efficient way. So some AIC is there, and we have 3D modeling facility is there. Maybe in T we have 3D modeling facility is there. So how we can leverage for the people who are in the community to use that facility to build up what they want. So this is how we put it out. So very much complementary on the government initiatives also, or very much complementary to the corporate initiatives also. So in this way, very much synergistic things are connecting. So already so many players in the ecosystem are involved in impact lab structure. So basically, we call it impact lab when something innovation and entrepreneurship related stuff coming in. We call it purpose solutions for the businesses when we talk about the SaaS solutions for the businesses and connected in the network. So and this is how things are connected. Difficult model, but it started working. It's working well, pretty well now.
Okay, I see. Thanks.
Mm. So basically, campuses can be basically what we started our hypothesis is campuses should be and can be hub for innovation, entrepreneurship, and leadership. So right now, just for the use case I am putting up here, in Greater Noida, we have put it up one CAL, Campus Entrepreneurship Lab. And Greater Noida Authority came up to us that this is certain problem that we want to solve it. And these are the campuses we can leverage upon. So maybe Hawker's problem, right? This is very small use case which I'm putting up. But these campuses can be actually a hub where we are not only solving global problems, we are actually solving regional, local problems. It could be business, social, or environmental, economic related aspect. So idea of creating AIC or TBIs was this only. But typically, when you work on government setup, it's a huge structure. So things immediately focus gets on, say, infrastructure aspect of it. So core part, somehow, some way, little bit gets diluted. So we are just focusing on core part. That how we can bring in the intelligence, like to solve the game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do we have any more students? So, Professor Nakul, do you have? Oh yeah.
Yes, Rohit. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Hemant. A couple of questions that I had in my mind. One
Yeah.
is you mentioned that there were multiple pivots that you had to take throughout this journey of, say, last 4 to 5 years. How much was it contributed due to external factors and how much was it contributed to internal factors?
So typically, if you compare 2020 entirely, that was majorly external factor, majorly, and I'll tell you how. So when I started this in say second half of 2018, so what I thought, or hypothesized that I can make two structure without putting up the network in place, big network in place. That will give me certain kind of revenue to float, right? So that was related to corporate, that was related to campus. Now, in 2020, both things diluted very heavily, right? In the corporate also kind of pulled back, campuses were off anyway. So that complete. Now, my hypothesis or my first priority was not to go for the investment. I was not going in that route wherein we chase the investors to get in. First of all, it is difficult to explain the model, and that takes huge time to explain. And the second is basically if we basically is common approach that initially entrepreneur think that if we lose out too much, then we might not be able to do what exactly we want. We have to switch with the market forces accordingly. So initially 6 to 8 months when we actually put up the MVP in the structures, we quickly realized that what exactly tangible we got to put it up, because I created a structure where anyone can come, they can write their purpose and etc. And things were connected. But what we found that even the individual also were finding very difficult to write the purpose line. Not an individual, in the corporate also finding what is the purpose. So the things that we started that pretty much high level, we got to down very much, very simplistic language. Exactly tell me what exactly you exit, why you exit kind of scenario. So that was the difficult part. So we tweaked that particular part and put up the two different structures. SaaS model for the business is very straightforward. Even if you don't come on the network, it's a tool that you can use. Eventually, they are connected. So whatever actions that corporate is taking actually is being reflected on the system also. in the network. So suppose corporate engaged with the thousands of students in solving some problems, so that is some reflection, and corporate is taken some socio-economic development related initiatives, so that is have some reflection. So corporate actually take the initiatives here, or even campuses can take the initiatives here. So initiative is a long-term game. So that initiative is basically connected to their purpose, and purpose initiative connected, then there are various actions. So these actions are again quantified. So unless you quantify, it's very difficult for people to understand what is happening. So we put up some algorithm and number wherein we can say that if you got to compare with the two corporates, this is the number, this is the basis you can compare. And if you got to compare with individual also, you can say this is the basis. So tomorrow, so right now what we see, how many followers you have, right? This is what the some factor that people say that this is some guy who has so many followers or something like this, or some interesting things that they do. Similarly, network, if you see what action this guy has taken, aligned with his or her purpose, right? So that can be quantified, some structure, some way, we can put it up. So these are the things we got to put up in the network or structure, so that people can see exactly what is happening. So typical challenges we faced, we tweaked it, but major, I would say 60% impact or maybe 70% impact we faced because of COVID, because hypothesis or maybe vision that we have, that was never changed so far. This is what we wanted, this is how we wanted. Yes, some tactical things we changed to make it more understandable for the people. Otherwise people are accustomed to other kind of social network, this is very different network. So this is what we did. I think second half of 2020, things started picking up. Not many corporates have shown the interest in using this, including Standard Chartered, Remco Group, Columbia Sports, automobiles. So these are the people, and we also met few government authorities like Noida, Greater Noida I mentioned. So basically, problems exist in various organizations. What we typically focus on, one or two or three problems which we need to solve immediately on urgent basis, and rest of the problems take the backseat. What we are saying is, don't put up those problems on backseat. Just think, put up in a structured fashion. You have time, bandwidth, and cloud intelligence power that you can leverage to this, so that by the time you solve your three problems, rest of the seven problems have some solutions. You actually on the cutting edge now. So you are basically a competitive, you're getting the competitive advantage. Similarly, instead of doing dummy projects or some academic projects, if you make it more aligned to the realistic, your guys other side are also getting brighter side in terms of the maybe venture investment, or maybe say jobs or something like this. So in that way, two things are very much lucrative for both the guys. And finally, if you make it a structure, which we did, that works pretty well. So this is how we kind of tweaked multiple ways, up and down. A major challenge we faced, the team aspect, how to bring the right people in this particular structure. That happens on times. We can't accelerate it. We just keep on meeting, understanding the people, and when join the hands only when we see more almost close synergy. But yeah, post-COVID kind of scenario. I won't say post-COVID, but yes, things are down the last 5-6 months pretty much. Even said 2021 also not that bad in terms of the other than 2 months. So more or less things are taking pretty much good shape now.
Maybe some bit more basic, as you mentioned, that you were able to look through the need. In the retrospect, it seems very obvious that okay, the organizations will have certain problems, students will have certain reach that they want to understand, they want to expose more to gain more experience. But how do you actually realize it? Because it's very obvious these problems exist. But and again, connecting it back to your lifetime, you mentioned that you went through your UPSC and then started working in corporate. Did the trigger happen somewhere during that time, or you realized that?
No. Actually, there's an opposite way. Means typically when you put up some business model, you actually do some research that are there any problems that we can leverage something like this. In my case, it was very opposite. My case was
I think that was my primary question, because it
yes.
seems very obvious, but it is not very easy to convince anyone think that it's very obvious.
Yeah. In fact, I answered this in your previous question in a subtle way. Idea was this: what I wanted was clear. how was missing, right? And how met so many failures in between. This is not working, this is not working, then again hypothesize, then again same stuff, you validate this and that, etc., etc. My objective so far in my life is, say, if individual or any organization identify or discover the core potentialities, and they see that in larger picture their existence is making such a difference or potential to have make a difference, can I make a system or some arrangement where we can accelerate this? This was the hypothesis. This is how we started, and this is connected with the UPSC also. If in India, basically, we typically see this is a civil services or maybe IAS or IPS, they make huge policy related execution and down the line, and they have huge power also, budget also to make a difference. Right? So that was the first attraction for the UPSC. But I soon or probably very soon realized there are multiple ways to do that. It is not necessary to get into civil services. Probably sometime it becomes a hook, and some kind of cage also, where you are not that free which you were thinking to get into. So fortunately, I think that it was good that I didn't get in, but that is a story of past. In the current scenario, when I say that hypothesis or vision was pretty much clear, how to actually explain this in simplistic fashion, how to make a tool so that it comes out a business model, not a social organization, NGO, or maybe philanthropic effort, how to actually make it very structured. So we got to speak corporate language very clearly, we got to speak our vision language very clearly. So that was the difficultest time probably I had, where I had to actually translate my vision to some tangible stuff where people can, or maybe corporate can understand, because they don't have much time, right? If you're talking to a CEO of a big company, say they will give you 5-10 minutes, right? So you talk and just move on. So something very, very tangible, very, very straight hitting, and with some tool structure that is happening. So yes, some part came from the corporate, which I was working in some corporates. We also had multiple ideas, but we had some pressing issues in our hands, so we can't concentrate on those ideas. So we just put on the back burner, and they most of the time they remain the back burner. So that is the basically what to say, advantages that we are missing somehow because of lack of structure. Otherwise, what could be the way? Either I talk to some consultant or I talk to some institute where I put up my problems and no one is to regulate or modulate, then again it's going haphazard, right? So this is how I hypothesize. Then I talk to almost top level guys, no in between, almost CEO, VP, or maybe director level people, where I explain this in very subtle fashion. This is what I'm thinking, and not very easy to basically execute, which we know, but potentialities are pretty much huge. Give me a second. Somebody's there. Give me a second. So I talked to multiple guys, and finally got to a point that out of 10 guys I talked to, 6 to 7 guys are convinced, and they actually liked it. They actually said that if this structure is built in, probably we have enough problems to put it up and solve it, and we have enough money also to put in. We didn't have this mechanism where things are missing, and many people also tried this way. So many incubators or AICs, people tried, but that structure is missing in a certain fashion where we can say the output is actually valuable. So activities are happening, but output connectivity is somewhere lacking. So you can say somewhere hypothesis, somewhere again the product market validation. So mix of the things. Yes, but direction was clear. So I just filtered down the tools which can be actually made into a business in a structured fashion. So this is how I did. Similarly for the campus aspect also. So what we said is it's not one or two twice interaction that would help. What we said is very structured. Say you have 500 students, can we think of some structure when 500 out of 500 maybe 100 students actually we identified or we come forward, And those 100 students are actually regularly for a year long in a structured fashion, maybe business problems, maybe projects, or maybe internship, or maybe their own ventures that we intervene in multiple steps, so that it's not just one day activity or something, but it's a long term, and actually you get out of it some result, some outcome comes out of it. So you are anyway doing different engagements, right, activities, different stuff that are happening, can be roped in a certain fashion wherein actually you each step that you do actually adding to the value in the last thing that you are looking into. So if say suppose from a campus, if you, I would say from a campus, one startup you can bring in, one problem we can solve from a campus in a year, that is a big game. So this is how we put it up the campus aspect also. So as I said, that things are pretty much aggressive now in terms of the youth energy, maybe innovation, entrepreneurship. So much funding is also going on. In fact, we also have so much of opportunities where we can get those funding done. But issue is that right team, right talent is always difficult, right? So this is how we want to make a structure. So there's hundreds of campuses, thousands of students, lakhs of students, and multiple business problems, multiple corporates are coming in, and new ideas also coming. They are actually seeing the results, some outcomes. So our purpose is a platform. So we are enabling the platform, and multiple things are happening. We also to experiment this, what we did is a few of our initiative, right? So in fact, our purpose is not to own those business ventures that would come out from that impact lab. Our purpose is that this is an idea, this is an MVP. Now, from those campuses which are onboarded in the system, let's bring in the founders team, a core team. Okay? In your 2-3 years, work on this idea, right? Investment part or whatever extra part we'll do. We'll take care of it in this certain fashion. Bring in your energy, be part of it, earn equity, take equity, not an issue, and build it up. So what we did is for say in this lean part, when I said that even the COVID part was also good for us in certain way. So what we did is we put up those initiatives in the marketplace and brought in the guys for a month or 2 month kind of work. Do you get paid, not paid, it's not an issue, but you work basis your interest and what you can solve. So we took an initiative in agriculture, healthcare, and education. So, see, in agriculture, I'll just give you a brief example. Very live use case, pretty much potential to build up a business or venture out of it. We have so many innovative product services coming up through startups, through companies in agriculture, right? But their last mile reach is always slow because of so many challenges in terms of the branding, in terms of the marketing, in terms of the investment, in terms of the sales force that we need to build it up. So that is one side of the story. So you have the solutions to the problems that exist on the last mile, but the connectivity or reach is an issue. On the other side, there are so many micro, maybe retailer or micro entrepreneur who are sitting on the last mile selling some commodity stuff like fertilizers or pesticide and this and that. They already have their presence, they know the customers, they know the farmer, they are basically extending credit also, so something is connected there also. What if these guys are exposed to newer product and solutions which are not only cost effective but actually highly beneficial to their people, the customers, the farmers or farm community? What if we connect with those things, two things, in a very much close knit marketplace structure, not for selling the commodities, not for selling the fertilizer or pesticide or seeds, but to selling the technology, product, and solutions, right? So just one example, one guy from IIT Mumbai created a small fridge cold storage structure that can extend the shelf life of vegetable for 6 to 7 days. So farmers can avoid this quick selling or stress selling for those products, and they can build up some store the products for the longer duration, maybe 5,000 or 4,000 kind of bucks. But being a startup, even from your IIT, but being a startup, it's always difficult to bringing from the other to other places faster. But need is there today, right? Need is there. So what if we bring down their complete expenses, almost say 90% of their branding, marketing, or sales BD expenses, connect those to the last mile, and get those product and solution to the last mile through this particular mechanism. And we take the some platform fee out of it, which they are saving through their branding or marketing expenses, right? And we make it a sustainable. So again, this was a typical business model, so nothing kind of related to my earlier vision for social charge, but it's a part of it. And it goes very much a straightforward business approach. So you hypothesize, you create some MVP, get how traction coming in. Coincidentally, this in 2 months or maybe 3 months of work with guys, students from different community, we shaped up some model. And another 3 months we did is to pilot it in a structured way. So we actually closed in 2 months 2 deals, right? So these 2 deals are effectively a simple reflection that a simple solution of this nature can bring it so much of change. Say suppose the farmers are saving more, earning more by increasing the shelf life, one example, or maybe a different kind of bioorganic fertilizer system, which is not available typical in the market, but they are extending through this network. So we are basically solving the two purpose. So these initiatives we put up as a project or maybe startup projects where our purpose is not to own the company. Of course, Impact Lab will have some equity on that. But what we want is when we have a captive campus entrepreneurship lab across the Indian geography, multiple things, teams should come up, identified teams should come up, they should lead it up. Rest of the story of ecosystem level support in terms of the investment or market reach, we will be putting up from our side. So in that way, again, this also came up from the how part. What are the those tangible stuff that we can do to this? So ideally, my approach is very straightforward. Individual can do best this by this in this way. Organization can do by this and that way. But what are the tools? So these are the tools. So we took up multiple initiatives. So healthcare, agriculture, we did it. Education, we are halfway in kind of validating this thing. Health, we kind of stepped out for the time being because health basically multiple players also came in. Plus, we also had a limited bandwidth. So we kept in three from our side. Two, we are going ahead with the team. In fact, any students from any IITs or IIMs can plug into this. They can start their work and lead it from the front. We are as a platform in the back end. So this is also a good mechanism where we can actually translate from the campuses to a actually meaningful ventures that are not only aligned what we are doing, social charge, but they are actually a business entity. They are creating a separate business entity out of it. So impact lab is basically creation, how we can create and solve something. So I think that part also went pretty well in the structure. And similar aspect is open for the corporates also. So right now we have industry related problems in I'm not sure if it is your field. It is on say integrated marketing dashboards. Right now brands face an issue that for TV advertisement they need to look into different platforms. For digital advertisement they need to look into different platform. For offline they have nothing, kind of just some data, etc., etc., and they have to invest. What to do? Can we have some mechanism or some way where we can see integrated dashboard with clear set of ROIs in whatever the engagements that we are doing? This is a very much industry related problem, and this can only be solved by, in my understanding, probably institutes maybe level of say IMOSB, or maybe institute like IITs where both can combine and solve it through technology or major aspect of it, and bring it back to the corporate. Corporates are willing to put in the money. You come up with the approach, this is the money, you bring it to the market. But this is a difficult problem, very difficult problem. It is not problem of say first year guys or second year guys can head into. Yes, so that is a project effectively. So say when the Mica can do this, in fact we are talking to Mica only. IM can do that, IITs can be. So basically there's a combination of things. So typically it is very difficult to execute without any network connect or network system. And this is where we are heading in. that these problems will persist. But if we have those connected dots and some modulation in between, probably down the line we'll start seeing the multiple results which are otherwise were difficult to achieve. So that part we did and are doing. That is also very exciting. So model basically in parts, if I explain you, it's very straightforward coming in. But in broader perspective, when I'm seeing algorithm that is connecting you in your own purpose to corporate organization purpose, and then you're engaging, amplifying something, it's very difficult. But yes, if you see that happening, things become easier. So that is what challenge I faced when I started. For 6 months, no one understood what is happening. Then we fractured it down, again boiled down to multiple tangible stuff that people can understand, and then we started talking separately. When we talk to the corporate, we don't talk about the campus or something like this. We just say their language. When you talk to the campus, we don't say about the brand solution, so how people are kind of engaged or connected with the brand solution. That is a different story. Eventually things are connected. So even the corporate, even the campus, for example, campus, right now we take few parameters like how many theses are done, how many graduates are done, how many people are placed on what packages, etc., what sector, etc., etc., etc. This is what we do in organization pattern, campus pattern. But if we also include that how many students or how many faculty member club together solve how many business problem, real business problem, how many startups or business solution, how many regional local problems are solved by the campus. So there's a different set of parameters now. So those parameters are relevant for us. That you being in Hyderabad, maybe in Hyderabad there may be a number of problems related to maybe traffic, related to be hawkers, or related to be maybe water, related to be say pollution, air pollution, etc., etc. What we together as a corporate, maybe corporate related to Hyderabad, maybe, or maybe authorities related to Hyderabad, or maybe somewhere else also, are bringing with their resources a meaningful solution to solve it. So that becomes another parameter for us. So these are the algorithm effectively. So how actually a regional campuses can be a regional hub and solving these things. Now, if we reflect these things, IIT Hyderabad did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other than those stuff, common stuff that we do, IIT Mumbai this. Other than the common stuff. So tomorrow, if I am a student or maybe faculty or somehow we get to look into, probably I have a different picture. So understand the culture. Otherwise, to get the understanding of the culture is very difficult. But if you have some parameters which people can understand, it could be very exciting. Same case goes with the corporates. These are the things they did in their environment for the employees, for their suppliers, for the future employees. And these are the parameters. So I'm not talking about your revenue. I'm not talking about what market share that you have. We are talking completely different parameter now. So you as an entity, how you are basically expanding your purpose or amplifying your purpose. So these parameters. So these parameters actually become the integral part of it. And these are reflected. So this is how network is connected. But if we talk in this fashion, probably no one will understand. Very difficult to understand what is happening. So that's why talk campus, you talk on campus way, corporate, we talk corporate ways, things will be connected. And they are connecting. They are being connected now. So this is how the broad structure probably came. Very exciting model, but yes, very difficult to execute. Very difficult to execute in terms of the current business model that are happening nowadays. Maybe typically in the Western side or maybe China side that are coming in here. So those model are still pure execution problem. You know that what exactly happening. Uh, Here you got to actually first make people believe in your hypothesis to some extent, then execute, show the result, and then you bring it. So that was the journey, and that is the journey. But you reach at the point where you don't see successful, or you see that this is what we do, and I think I am on that stage.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you gave a complete account about the overall perspective, but each part separately, and then how do you combine it?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Manji. Over to Lohit.
Yeah, thank you so much for the very comprehensive account of your journey. And there were some questions that I had, but eventually you answered all the questions. Like one of them was, I was wondering how we would compete with, the other market players. Like for example, there are many social medias websites that are already like offering some services or in this point. So you said you are going to recruit your own teams and trying to bring in the partners. I mean the persons who are like already solving the problems and ask them to come to your team and do that. And one of my question is with regard to the same issue. How do you deal with? I mean, how you plan to deal with attrition? I mean, if for now maybe you are planning to recruit the teams and then they are trying to they may address the problems. But what if after say 5 years, 10 years, 5 years down the line, maybe if they plan
Yeah.
to move out or go ahead with their own kind of journey?
Yeah, so I'll answer your first question also. Social media sites have a different business model, right? So when you say social media, social network, of course it resonate what I'm saying to some extent, but they have pretty much ad revenue based model, right? Here things are different. It is a network. Of course, I'd say purpose-led social network because people and organization are connecting, but they are pretty much action-oriented things are happening through the campus side, from the corporate side. Those action are being reflected. It's not just post where you're liking or commenting something like this. So our model is not competing with them. In fact, we are completely creating different niche altogether. So that part is sorted, and business model is different. So we have different revenue channel from the other side and this side, and down the line we have another plan also. So it won't be typical Facebook. It
Yeah,
won't be a typical LinkedIn.
that's
But
clear.
yes, tomorrow, if we need to go deeper, that how you are as an individual before I hire you, probably this would be de facto platform, right? Not the LinkedIn or Facebook. Okay, so that is basically a different connectivity altogether. And what was your second question? Attrition. So attrition can never be avoided. First of all, we got to understand
Yeah.
this. Second, how we can reduce it. So that part can only be reduced when we take time in hiring. So we do not make hurry in hiring. So that is the first principle that we are going to adopt. We are adopting already. Second, what we can do is in when we are taking time, what are the core emphasis we are putting in? Are we putting in purely on skills, purely on academic background, purely on professional background, or purely on individual, or combination of both? Both the things. So that is why I said that for corporate also hiring can have a different meaning now. When they see that the people have worked on their business problems, and they see that people are aligned with the brand purpose also, and they see that the skill set also somehow to matching, right? And the other side also are kind of getting attracted to the corporate, not basis on the interviews or some question answer session, but some kind of long term engagement. So we expect, I'm not saying it would happen this way. What we expect that if hiring happens in this particular fashion, in continual way, regular way, then the attrition is expected to get reduced to far larger extent. And this is what we also did. So, in fact, just for the sake of clarity, even to get the people on the board in my system, I took 3 to 6 months just interacting to actually got to be 0 point. Okay, no matter what, you also think this should happen. I also think this should happen. You can play this role. I can play this role. We are absolutely zero. Now we talk about something else. What about the common thing that we need? That is not even the talk of the topic uh, for in between 3 to 6 months. What you get, what I get. We got to zero it down what exactly you think and what exactly you feel and what exactly I think and I feel. If we see a good synergy in it, attrition is pretty much low. So for me, there's no attrition so far in 4 years, and people are more passionate. Yes, we face the challenging time, uh, and that is obvious with any organization when you put it up, and especially when you put a very new model, very kind of completely drastic, which is very difficult even to understand initially. But yes, if you take good time in hiring, you should do this part. And if you got to take decision on firing, don't even delay by day. So that is a principle probably we are going to use and we are using it. We are a small team now, but yes, this is the way I think we can grow it up because in scaling would be very fast. once these things are on the normal track, which are anyway happening now, uh, need is there. People also feel that there's a need, but the clear structure people are not able to visualize how would would it happen. So if we showcase that with the use cases, which I said, just like ITC or maybe Noida Authority or maybe Madam or different use cases, then things become more realistic for the people. And for any network, there's a critical mass. So now, right now, we may be in the lakhs, right? If we cross the million to some extent, maybe corporate in terms of the 50,000 or 10,000 kind of corporate, or maybe hundreds of two hundreds of campuses, things will be different scale altogether. Right now, we have a limited number of campuses, limited number of corporates, hundreds or something like this. So things are a bit slower. But yes, network works like this. If you have a bigger number, you have scale pretty much fast. You don't get time then. You just goes like this. But coincidentally or fortunately, our model is not on page revenues. How many pages revenues or ad revenue coming? This model is not there. So we are not worried about the number of people you join. What we are worried about the kind of people you are joining, kind of people are coming in, kind of organizations are coming in. So many organizations we don't even enable in our system, which we think which are not right fit right now. So it's a very much controlled network. It's not typical social media. It's a social network, but yes, it is pretty much in different aspect that we will be connecting, and algorithm will also be very different. Algorithm will be basis on there are some I'm not sure if you've gone through psychology part of it. There's 16 factors of personality basis scale that people have researched so far, and there's a point that if you standing on the scale number 4, and if I bring in the people who are above 4, your growth is inevitable in your network. If you get the connected with the people who are above 4, your growth is to overall aspect is inevitable. So that algorithm will work. Instead of say you as an individual, how many ads I can show you. You got it the point? Two things are completely different. Here objective is how we can actually bring out the best of you for yourself, which is actually for ourselves. Similarly for the organization, and what could be the those algorithms. So you have same mind, right? You can work on algorithm to get the more ad revenue, or you can work on the algorithm to get the more out of the person on an organization. So those algorithms are completely apart. Skills are same. So that is the algorithm that we are putting in place. So that would be the structure. So tomorrow, if, when we have the sufficient data structures, we'll have the graph structure that who lies where, who should be connected to who, and basis their core aligned purpose. Then the structure will shape it up automatically. So that is an engine that probably I would say. Just like an internet, you have the internet and you create so many apps, so many structures, so many things are connected with the internet or electricity, that so many things are connected with electricity. Similarly, you're creating the engine. That engine can be self-sustaining, self-running, and accelerated way, uh, meeting out the needs of the all the typical parties involved in some fashion, which people can understand. Abstract things people won't be able to understand, but if you put in the tangible stuff, which I said, key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which are relevant for you, just focus on this. So things will be different. So this is what we are trying. I find it very exciting. Let's see how it goes probably down the line, but I see very positive side of it. Things coming in to try it out.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Hemant, for putting such a complex idea in such a simple way, so that we
Yeah,
can,
complex bit. Yeah. Mm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, your experience of explaining to so many investors and corporates is clearly seen here.
Yes.
uh, yes, sir. So yeah, I think if there are no more questions from students, we can conclude this talk.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, we can say goodbye for this talk. Wonderful talk, and thank you so much. We hope to connect with you later on also with this. We plan to host some more events as part of this entrepreneurship department, the focus of this department, and we look forward to interact with you, collaborate with you in terms of student internships if possible, so that they can also be involved with practical cases, and your organization will be a very good platform for them to get
Yeah,
involved with, especially with the very wide focus and wide scope that these students can find from different departments. Students can be, maybe useful to your organization as well, and the experience of your organization's expertise so far can also be helpful to the students. So this synergy can be thought of, and
yeah,
look
sure,
forward.
sure. Definitely, definitely. Social chat platform basically is open, means people can join individual also, and organizations, maybe campus or maybe what do you call it, e-cells, they can be on the system. So typically campus e-cell goes directly on the impact lab, and
Okay.
business side goes on the business side, and these opportunities for the projects maybe problems is open. Basically they can
Okay.
I think that each campus has to be put up the CEL or kind of a structure. CEL is for the campuses which are somehow lacking those culture right now, or trying their by their own. So may not be a good fit for IITs which are already on the different level, some extent of the level. But the many campuses where they are aspired to, but because of so many constraints in terms of the resources, in terms of the vision, in terms of the direction, things are lacking. So those things are pretty much connected with the CELs, with some step by step say approach. Just like suppose in your campus you have say 5 6 ideas which are kind of bubbling in, right? How we can filter it down, actually connect with investors, or maybe connect the market access for the product validation. Maybe other organization can partner with this. So that kind of structure put in the place through the CEL. Otherwise, these problems and projects, things are pretty much open. Anyone can.
Sure, sure. We do have both cases. I mean, students who are looking for projects, interns, and we are also offering a dual degree in techno entrepreneurship. So students will be like involved like for about 1 year, 6 months to develop some kind of prototype, and they could
Mhm.
also be use the network to develop their idea further on.
Yeah,
So
sure.
so yeah, that's it. And thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
thank you. It's my pleasure and appreciate your time.
yeah,
And I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you
sure,
very much,
sure. Thank
Hemantji.
you.
At a personal level, to connect with you and then invite you through Lohit's entrepreneurship talk series, and happy that you agreed for it, and as Dr. Lohit also mentioned, we'll surely look forward to connecting with you in future for multiple events.
Yeah, sure. No problem. No problem. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much.